Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm showing you how to do a glitter drip using tulip fabric paints on a vinyl wrapped cup. While this cup does lend itself to Halloween, I think the vinyl selection can be used year-round for any skull and flower-loving soul. As always, all the products I used will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that will save you some coin. Also, we just launched our Facebook group, so check out the link below to take advantage of a bunch of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. The tutorial for this tumbler started on my live. I go live in my group every Tuesday. It's called CamiPaige Boutique VIPs. And what I'm showing you here are some of the features of the 10-ounce Lowball from Parish Tumblers. Now, if you're not familiar with this blank stainless steel tumbler, it's amazing. I love the size, and it was perfect for this cup and the design that I was wanting to create. Since I was using printed vinyl, I did not need to prep my cup ahead of time. There was no spray painted needed. So what I did is I grabbed my printed vinyl and I made sure to cut off any excess white vinyl that may or may not have been left over from the printing process. Some printed vinyls don't have the white, so you don't need to trim it. But what I've found is that just trimming the edges off with this scrapbook paper cutter, I think it's what it's called, really helps to give you a straight edge. So then when you line it up on the cup, you're set up for better success. After I trim the vinyl, I line up the vinyl with the bottom of my tumbler, just using my table as kind of reference, and I try to draw a line to trim the vinyl to make sure that I'm only getting as much that I need to wrap around the cup. I have found that this is useful because you don't want to have a bunch of excess vinyl around because it just makes it harder to apply. You have stuff sticking to itself that you don't want to, and it just makes it overall more complicated. I trim the vinyl to size, and then I peel back the backing and just cut a little sliver to attach the vinyl to the cup. I then decided it was payback time.
Or you know what, guys? Should we make Nick do this vinyl wrap? Since he's spewing some stuff. I'm thinking I should make Nick do it. So Mr. Nicholas, I think you should come down and do the vinyl on this cup since you like to talk so much crap. So Nicholas, come on down. I don't care. It can wait. It can wait. Oh, see, Nick? Everybody's saying that you need to come down and do the vinyl wrap, Mr. Vinyl King. He's scared of us. I don't know if he's coming or not. I might have to do this cup all by myself. All right, honey. Come on. I want you to do this. You're not busy. Come on. Everybody's waiting on you. Turn your hat around so you can see. So we're gonna see, guys.
Why are you putting me up in this?
Because I can't.
So this is my lovely husband who has actually been working with vinyl for over 8 years, and he likes to give me crap about how I apply vinyl to my cups. So during my live, I decided to call him out and let him apply the vinyl to the cup and see how well he does it while having a bunch of people watch him. What he did is he used a piece of blue painter's tape and applied it to the cup to use as a reference point for a straight line to apply the vinyl. He lined the vinyl up with the line created by the painter's tape and stuck the vinyl onto the cup. He then started to use his thumbs and put pressure on the vinyl, which also allowed for the backing to start to come off. Now, he gets impatient here, and I wanted to include this here so you guys could also see what not to do. But he gets impatient and starts to pull the backing up, and it starts to create issues with bubbles and the vinyl not aligning correctly. Now, what you should have done, or what he should have done, is just continue to apply the vinyl using his thumbs to smooth it out, and it wouldn't have been an issue like he is having here. I also kind of kept it in for comical purposes because for those of you who are in my Facebook group, you know that we like to give Nick a pretty hard time all the time, and he's a good sport about it. He ends up deciding to apply the vinyl his way, and now you can see why I wanted to include the full clip of the video of him doing it. And he pulls off the vinyl and decides to attach it the way he would recommend doing it. So just to show you both perspectives. What he does is he takes the vinyl off and he applies it in the center of the piece to the middle of the cup. He then allows the vinyl to drape over the sides of the cup and then uses his fingers just to slide it down. This is a technique that's becoming more and more popular on TikTok. I haven't had the most success with it because I seem to get more bubbles, but that is what worked for him, and all in all, we ended up with the same result. I then trimmed the vinyl where it overlaps, making sure to leave enough to where no stainless steel is showing when I remove the excess. And then what I do is I use a squeegee to go over the vinyl and then pop any bubbles that might have occurred with my X-Acto knife. I then grab one of my Zindi car coasters that I had completed, and I hold my X-Acto knife steady on top of the car coaster, and I use the blade and slowly rotate my tumbler. What this allows me to do is to get a nice, consistent, height for wrapping the blade around the cup and cutting the vinyl so that I can easily remove it, and I do this at the top and the bottom. I then grab my tulip fabric paint. Now this isn't puffy paint, it's just the normal tulip. I got this from Walmart actually in a pack. And I start to put probably like a pea size, so like the width of a pea, glob, whatever you want to call it, string around the top of the cup. So making sure that it's about, I would even say like a pea off the top of it. So the width and the height, I guess you would say, of a pea around the cup so that I know I have enough to cover the full rim. And this is also going to set the drips up for success. So you can see there like how much I put around it. And then all you do is hit it on your table. What this does is it creates the little drips that you want, and you don't have to worry about making sure to get your epoxy consistency correct if you were to go through that method of applying your drips. So you literally saw it. I just do a string of the puffy paint around the top, hit it on my table, and my drips are done. Now, one thing you are going to want to make sure that you do is that this stuff will move. So what I like to do is you could either put this on your turner if you wanted to just leave it like this. But what I've found that makes it successful is I actually come in with glitter and it stops the drippy paint or the fabric paint from moving. I then grab Fleek, which is from Glitter Heart Company, and it's probably one of my favorite glitters right now. And I just sprinkle it over the top of the drips that we just created. So not really worrying about how much I apply or if I'm getting it anywhere else, because there's nothing else on the cup that it could possibly stick to because we don't have epoxy or anything else on it. So I just make sure to cover the drippy paint as much as possible. And look at that. This glitter is just absolutely amazing. And I can't get enough of it. Once the coverage of the glitter is great, I put it on the turner and I let it dry overnight before moving into the next steps. So one thing I'm doing here is because I used the drippy paint, I wasn't sure, I keep on calling it drippy paint. Because I used the fabric paint, I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to roll the glitter or not on a piece of parchment paper or cardstock, whatever it is, to let the glitter lay down flat. So after I let the fabric paint sit overnight, I grabbed my tweezers and I just removed any of the glitter pieces that might be sticking up or laying weird that wouldn't give me the right look for the drips that I was looking for. I knew that I also wanted to glitter the bottom of the cup, so since we had done the vinyl wrap, I just decided to go the route of using acrylic paint instead of spray painting. And all I did is I just grabbed an acrylic paint that I think went well with the vinyl, and this is just a cheap one from Michael's, and I just took my time painting the bottom rim. Now you could, if you wanted to, tape off the vinyl, but since there isn't a layer of epoxy on the vinyl or the drips, I didn't want to take a chance of applying the painter's tape and have it removing any of the drips in the glitter that we just applied. After that first coat of the acrylic paint dries, I grab my Mod Podge, and I've done this before in a previous tutorial, but I like to do half and half acrylic paint and Mod Podge to apply glitter to my tumblers. The reason why I do this is it gives me a lot longer, I wouldn't say a lot, but a longer work time than if I were just to use Mod Podge by itself, and it gives me a nice second coat of paint to really keep that consistency of color coverage that we would want underneath the glitter. After I applied the Mod Podge acrylic paint mixture, I come in with Fleek again, and I just do little spots here and there, not too big of a space because you don't want to take a chance of the paint and Mod Podge layer drying before you can get glitter on it. So I just take my time doing little spots here and there and also patting down the glitter as I move around the cup to make sure that I'm getting great coverage and that you're really, really going to see that wonderful sparkle stick to the cup and stay as you continue throughout your design. One thing I want to mention, because you can see me doing it here, is don't be afraid to go over the glitter that has already been laid down with more of the acrylic paint and Mod Podge mix. The reason why I say this is because I personally would rather have full coverage of the glitter by going back over it with the Mod Podge and acrylic mix versus having sparing coverage just because we didn't want to go over what had already been laid down. So don't be afraid. It's not going to mess up the design of your cup, and I promise it's going to make it look better in the long run. Once I was happy with the coverage, I let it dry for about 3 or 4 hours, and then I spray sealed it twice with Rust-Oleum Gloss Clear. This just helps to keep the glitter in place when we move into the epoxy that you're seeing here. And I feel like it just allows the epoxy to glide on smoother, and I just get a better first coat by taking that extra step. Speaking of epoxy, I mixed up 15 milliliters of a little extra ink, and I just took my time applying the first coat to the tumbler. If you have some glitter movement, it's not that big of a deal. Just make sure to watch out for it so that you're not getting glitter stuck in places that you don't want. Right after I finished the first coat, I let it turn for about probably 3 or 4 hours, and then I immediately went into a second coat. This cup actually needed 3 thinner layers of epoxy before we moved into the next step, but I just wanted to show you how I apply the epoxy each time so you can have reference. After the last layer of epoxy dried, I grabbed my Dremel and my 120 grit flap wheel to show you how I finish the rim of my cups. Now, there aren't that many steps to this specific tutorial, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity for you guys to see what I use and how I do it to finish the lips of my cups. After the last layer of epoxy dries, I grab my Dremel and a 120 grit flap wheel, and I start to go around the top rim of the cup. What I do first is I use the Dremel at like very, almost like a 90-degree angle if the cup is standing straight up. And then I come in at more of a 45-degree angle to get this lip of stainless steel that I'm showing you right here. I then grab my 80 grit sanding block, and what I'm going to do is just to knock down any of the super high spots that might have occurred since we did use a chunkier glitter. I like to focus up at the top of the cup because let's say the person is drinking out of it and they don't have the lid on. The last thing they want are pokey bits shooting into their lips when they take a drink. So make sure that it's as nice and smooth as possible at the top. And then I'm going to show you what I do next to get a really smooth surface around the entire cup to set up for a beautiful final layer of epoxy. I like to use my orbital hand sander, and all I do is I hold the sander pretty stationary and I just roll the cup back and forth. Because the head of the sander is so rigid, it gives me a nice flat surface so it can knock down any of the bumps that are still around down quickly and evenly around the whole cup. So I really, really highly recommend this tool. Then I wanted to share a little hack with you. So sometimes during the sanding process, when you're getting, especially when you're working with chunky glitters, you can sand down some of the beautiful color of your glitters. So what I like to do is grab my alcohol ink marker, which is right here. I chose Crimson, and go over those spots that the color might have gotten messed up. If you have a color that's close enough to the glitter, nobody will know the difference, and it will seamlessly blend into the glitter and epoxy that you're using for your design. I absolutely love this hack. After I was done just going over any of the little spots that might have happened, I let that dry for a couple of hours, and then it was time to move into the final layers of epoxy. I let the marker dry for about probably 4 hours, and I didn't seal it before moving into the final layer of epoxy, but if you feel more comfortable, by all means do it. But this cup only needed 10 milliliters of epoxy on its final coat, and it was done. I absolutely love how this cup turned out. I think the vinyl and the glitter just absolutely complement themselves. The shine, just everything, just makes this the perfect Halloween or year-round tumbler to carry around with you for any special occasion or cocktail that you might be sipping on. I hope this tutorial inspires you because there are so many applications, color schemes, vinyls that you could use that would absolutely be beautiful with all of these techniques. As always, thank you for watching. It means so much to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you are notified for all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.